Welcome everyone. I'm so excited to be presenting this information. April is Financial Literacy Awareness Month. So we are talking all about becoming financially educated. I think I have about 13 or 14 presentations scheduled this month where either I'm hosting them or I was invited to speak to different organizations, and this is the first one of many, the How Money Works Foundation presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with a quick video.
More than 5 billion people around the world continue to struggle with money and financial illiteracy.
It's Madison Avenue manipulation, right? It's been going on for years and we buy into it.
How bad is financial illiteracy?
It's not taught in school, so people don't know this naturally.
Oh, you're right.
So you grow up not knowing anything about it, you make a lot of mistakes along the way, and we're hoping to educate them and teach them how money really works so they can learn the cause and effect of all this.
And it doesn't have to be generational.
Exactly.
No.
Exactly right.
Break that cycle.
Once you understand the basics of financial literacy, it changes your life. The secret is financial literacy. I mean, teaching your kids how money works. I think it's really understanding how money works. Once they understand the basics of how money works, they shouldn't have to struggle for very long.
Steve Siebold and Tom Matthews are the authors of How Money Works. Stop being a sucker.
Money means possibility. It means opportunity. It means freedom. Things you've always wanted to do, dreams that you have. Money makes it possible.
You know, of all the interviews we've had in the last 6 weeks, I'm actually most encouraged by that one.
Yeah, so again, welcome everyone. It is so great to have you here with me this evening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Shantae Moore. I am a How Money Works educator, an investment advisor representative. Overall, I just teach people how money works, and I will be your host and speaker for about the next half hour. So I'd like to welcome you to the How Money Works Elements educational series. Taught tonight on Zoom. We're also streaming live over to Facebook as well. But this is a course, one of 5 sessions that was created off of this book, How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker. Actually, my favorite book on financial literacy. It actually has over 500,000 copies in print right now. In my 16 years of experience, so I've been in the financial services industry for 16 years, I actually have never seen a book so easy to read, which shares so much foundational information about personal finances. It's 100 pages or less. It has a lot of pictures in it, a lot of words. So all the things that I'll be sharing about tonight are coming from the book. And this book is a big deal. This isn't some little book that Shantae made or wrote. This is actually a big deal. It's sold on Amazon for $16.99, but it's also been seen across many major media outlets, as you can see here on the screen: CNBC, CBS, Fox News, ABC. I believe they said the book has had an impression over 73 million Americans just because of all the media attention that it has been receiving. So one of my favorite books. If you do not have a copy of this book, I want to offer you a free copy, complimentary on me. There's no obligation. I just want to make sure you take it as a resource, that you'll actually read it, connect with me from however you got connected to this presentation. I'd be happy to get that out to you. So let's go ahead and get started for tonight. Again, our class tonight is called Foundation. And again, it's the first of the 5 element classes. And once you complete all 5 element classes, we would just basically say you're 100% financially educated. And also, students who go through the classes, you'll also, because you're attending any of the sessions, you'll have opportunity to have a free 30-minute Zoom consultation with me, so that if there's any questions that you had about something that you learned, or if you're just looking for professional guidance regarding your own finances, just reach out to me. I'll be happy to schedule that with you. Again, just let me know that you did attend or watch one of these replays, because we want to help you. We want to give folks, help them improve their finances. And we use a financial planning process called the 7 Money Milestones, which is in the book, to help folks, look at everything that they're probably not looking at when it comes to their finances. We don't know what we don't know. So I'll be happy to have that to offer, myself in the book as a resource to anyone. So for tonight's foundation class, this is really one of my favorite classes. It's really just to help establish the importance of how you can make your money work for you instead of for somebody else. When you think of building a financial foundation, you really want to establish a solid starting point to build a secure financial lifestyle, and build it not only just having money saved, but just to build it confidently and to where you can have a more independent financial future filled with a lot of opportunity. And I truly believe that no matter what your goals are or what amount of money you think you can save, you'll learn a lot. And I think there's something that you'll definitely be able to apply to your finances as well. So the first thing, though, we have to really face the realities of the world, that we live in as we begin this process. Consider, what does your current situation look like? What do you not know about your money? What are you ignoring? It's not saying that you have to be an expert. No one expects you to have a PhD in finance, but this class is essentially here to teach you the basics, basic financial concepts that I know that if you apply them, again, regardless of what your finances look like, it will definitely help you to make smarter decisions with your money and your wealth, but also to create a sense of urgency, because I think we live in a time period where there's a lot of information. It could be an information overload, and sometimes we get this information and we do nothing with it. So that's not going to help you financially. So I hope that as you learn, you actually get a sense of urgency as well, because this is a foundation that we were never given in school. We don't learn about any of the, rarely do we have the opportunity to learn about money in school and to start off with making the right decisions. So as I go through this class, you'll get to know the cast of characters from our book, the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker book. And again, if you've already read it, you've already seen these individuals in the book as they navigate through their stories and ask a lot of questions. And what I like about them is that they're really proof that there is no stupid question when it comes to money. So feel free to take notes in the book, or obviously get a piece of pen and paper so that you can take notes and follow along. So the first thing that you really want to begin with is just, first of all, deciding, do you want to choose to have a wealthy mindset and learn how the wealthy people learn how to handle their money? Or will you continue to have the mindset of a sucker? Because it's really a choice. It really is. But the fact that you've joined this class or you're watching the replay, that says a lot in itself. It says that you're trying to pivot your mindset to think like the wealthy. And here's the thing, you don't have to be wealthy to think like the wealthy. You only need the knowledge. And that's what this class is here for, to give you that knowledge. So one of our country's founding fathers, Benjamin Franklin, once said, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So again, I salute you for taking the time to learn one of the most valuable life skills that you can develop. And I think you'll be glad that you're tuning into these classes and taking in this information. So comedian W.C. Fields once said, it's morally wrong to allow a sucker to keep his money. And of course he was kidding, but it did prove one thing. It's that if you don't understand how money works, that you can end up the result of someone's joke. You can be taken advantage of, and we want that to stop today. And, I want to talk about the word sucker because I know it can sound insulting. You might be offended by it, but, when you really pull back all the layers and we're being completely transparent, honestly, that's the best way to describe someone who can be taken advantage of because they don't know how things work. And not knowing how money works, it does suck. As you see here, it can suck up your time, it can suck up your freedom and your income, and we want you to get out of that sucker lifestyle. So there's an old saying that says, what we think about, we bring about. And so your financial reality, as as you get into these classes and you start learning this information, I want you to really just understand is that how you think about money, in your mind, it really does set the stage for what your finances will manifest to in the physical. It really will. So you want to start thinking differently and start thinking wealthier thoughts about your money. I know it's hard, especially if you're already having a place of struggle, but you want to understand that it starts with having an abundant mindset and having the belief that you can be better with your finances. So in today's class, I'm actually going to go over 3 concepts today. Talking about financial illiteracy, the power of compound interest, and then also talking about wealth equivalency. I truly believe, again, we need to just learn the basic foundational concepts of how to make good financial decisions. And again, having confidence to start taking action. Knowledge, you hear the saying, knowledge is power. It's actually applied knowledge is power. So as I go through these slides, ask yourself, how can I apply some of this information that I'm learning today so that I can start getting on track with my money? Ask yourself that as we go through this. So first of all, let's just kind of take a layout of the land. We all know how devastating a global medical crisis can be. I think the one thing the pandemic has certainly shown over the last 2 years, we've been dealing with this literally for over 2 years, is really how not being financially literate affects the entire world. In fact, it affects over 5 billion people in the world who are actually considered illiterate when it comes to their money. And it's really immeasurable. Some of it is intentional, most of it is not. And I think one thing I'm proud about is that our company is out here to change that. We want to change this economic crisis. So if this were 1920, there would also be still millions of adults in our nation who couldn't read. Because just think of that word, literate, means that you can read. What if you're illiterate, that you cannot read? And think of trying to navigate the world not knowing how to read and how hard that might be. But obviously with public education and, our public school education over the last 100 years, it's actually changed that. People we learn how to read in school. So think of this course, this How Money Works Elements course, as the public education of financial literacy. So again, I promise you, if you just follow these classes that I'll be teaching over the next month, you will learn the building blocks on how to earn your money, how to spend it, how to save it, and how to invest it. And just like learning to read, when you know how money really works, it changes how your financial story ends. So when you heard me say over 5 billion people in the world are considered financially illiterate, you probably wonder, what does that mean? What does that actually mean? Well, first of all, it references the results of a survey that was taken. It was actually a global study. In the study, it said that only 30% of people in the world are considered financially literate. And they used a simple money quiz to reveal that the vast majority of people from countries all over the world were unable to correctly answer a few simple questions about money. So this class will teach you the answers to those very questions and obviously give you a lot more information. And that's the reason why I teach this course. And I hope that's why you're here watching, because you want to learn, you want to become educated. And a lot of people think, oh, well, the US is the best country in the world. Well, our nation really isn't any better off than the rest of the world. Financial illiteracy is our top economic crisis as well. I mean, if you look at these numbers here on the screen, to me, it's not unbelievable that almost half of Americans don't have, enough to cover a $400 emergency or to make their student loan payments on time, or, to pay off their credit cards, or even try to even retire. A lot of Americans are just not in a financial position to do any of those things. So Sarah, our character here, she's right. She said how these numbers hurt families every day. It is hard to process. In early 2020, when, a number of people just skyrocketed, jumping on unemployment, we had a lot of stock market volatility. So many millions of people were impacted. And even probably since that time, I'm sure we know that the numbers have gotten worse. But again, the light at the end of the tunnel is that you're here, I'm here, we're here to learn and share this information. Because again, with knowledge and action, we can change these numbers, and you can at least change it for your family. So really, this is a true way to establish a new financial reality for yourself, having a new financial mindset, which will then create a new financial future for yourself. So according to the National Foundation Educators Council recent survey, U.S. adults lost an average of $1,200 in 2018 because they didn't know what they were doing with their money. 1 out of 5 adults actually lost $2,500. So it's like taking, remember we got those stimulus checks in the last couple of years? It's like taking one of those stimulus checks and just setting it on fire, just throw it all away, because that's what Americans do. They just don't know any different. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we don't learn this stuff in school. Only 21 states make you take one class on some type of money management or personal finances in high school. And of those that do have a class, it really only scratches the surface. Just like, how to balance a checkbook, this is what a bank is, basic, very basic concepts. And I don't think that's enough. What percentage of schools teach, sex education and lacrosse and journalism? It's really almost 50 out of 50. So again, we don't learn this stuff at school. So where else can we learn about money? We have to take the responsibility on to learn. And most of our kids, if you actually surveyed young American adults, they actually said that they wish they would have had a course on personal finance, because they believe that would have helped benefited them the most as they went out into the world and started their careers or going to college and taking on massive student loan debts. So that's why we created our courses, is just to help folks get that information. And obviously the same with the book. We want to give people as many resources as possible. So let's meet the sucker cycle. We call it the trap of when folks are foolishly spending money and also saving money into super low interest bearing accounts. And that cycle repeats itself. It goes on and on, month after month, year after year. It really just takes away any potential to be wealthy, to be free, to be in control, because every couple of weeks the cycle repeats. We're spending money at the grocery store, unnecessary online purchases, signing up for another streaming subscription. I think I have pretty much every movie streaming subscription now, and that stuff adds up over time. Most people know how to earn money, they know how to spend it, and that's it. They don't really know how to save their money. But I truly believe if we could just jump off this sucker cycle, if you really just step back and look at it for what it is, you'll be like, okay, I need to do something better with my money. We say that suckers hand their paycheck to someone else who builds their own wealth with the sucker's money. So, and just wait, because I'm going to show you what the numbers look like for that in real time. Because little amounts can add up over time and become big amounts that somebody else is earning off of your money. You're not the one making any money off of it. Other people are. So if you look at this snapshot from the book, some of these numbers might be a little different. Obviously we've been staying home. Now some people are going back out. But anyway, we're spending money on clothes, on Uber, ride shares, coffee, events. I know my biggest budget right now is food, takeout food. I need to cook a whole lot more. Subscriptions that I talked about, maybe even alcohol. A lot of people have been indulging just to deal with, the times that we're dealing with. But is that enough? Is that smart? So let's just look at, your retirement, for example, whether you're about to retire or not. Again, the concepts, it still applies. It doesn't matter if you're in your 20s listening to this or if you're in your 50s and 60s about to retire. But think of your retirement like an airplane. We need both of our wings to fly. And Social Security and 401k, if you have one, if you have any type of workplace retirement account, that technically only makes up 1/2 of the income that you should be living on, that you should be planning to live on in retirement. The other half, the other wing of that airplane is completely up to you. It's your responsibility. So for example, if you hope to live on, 70% of your current income in retirement, you'll need to be really, really serious about how much money you're putting away now, how much money you're saving and growing so that you can have enough money in retirement. And this is where a financial professional could really step in to help you decide, okay, how much do I really need to save? What accounts should I put into? Should I invest it? What interest rate should I be going after? What portfolio should I build for myself? These are conversations that I have every day and help all of my clients look through. And then let's just take a look at how Americans are actually doing, with saving. And so the reality is that no matter what generation you're a part of, no generation is saving enough. And remember, the older you are, the less time that you have, so that you'll need to be saving more now to put away. Millennials have a median amount of $23,000 saved for retirement. So I'm a millennial. I'm an older millennial. We're not the ones eating the Tide Pods. We're actually adults with their own homes and kids and families. Gen Xers, which I call the sandwich generation, because they're sandwiched in between their baby boomer parents that they have to take care of, and then they have their young adult, maybe young adult age or a little bit younger age children. They're right in the middle, taking care of everybody else except for themselves. The Generation Xers have about an average of $66,000 saved for retirement, and then our baby boomers, the largest growing generation right now, have about $125,000 saved for retirement. So if you imagine that you're a baby boomer and you're about to retire with $152,000, will that be enough? Will that last you long enough in retirement, or would you have to start going back to work? So here's just an example that'll give you, just show what these numbers look like and why it's important for you to save money. Because if you don't put enough money aside each month and earning a really good interest rate, you probably will have a savings shortfall, which means that you might not live the lifestyle that you want in retirement, or you might have to go back to work, or you might have to depend on others, like moving with your kids to take care of you. And a lot of people don't like the way that sounds, but it's the reality. Trust me, I see it all the time. So you really have to look at that gray area on here on the chart, like what your actual savings are versus what you should be actually required to save so that you can, reach your retirement goals and have that lifestyle that you desire. And again, that's why you should be working with a financial professional to help you close that gap as much as possible. So here's what it looks like when you have, saved your full amount of money and, had your retirement savings goal reached. So first of all, this person will absolutely have a reliable income because they saved the amount of money necessary and they got the rate of return necessary. See, I'm going to talk about rate of return a lot because I actually see folks who are saving, they're just saving in the wrong places. Like they're putting all their money in the bank. The banks earn like 0.01%. So for every $100, they earn a penny. That's not smart. So, again, when you work with financial professionals, we can help you get the best rate of return and grow your money. But anyway, this person will have a reliable income. They might even have money left over to leave as a legacy to their children or maybe to their grandchildren. And that's the retirement picture that a lot of folks really want to have, but they haven't really got there because they haven't saved enough to do so. So as Steve Sebo said in the book, again, he's one of the co-authors of the How Money Works books. He said, how rich people think, the wealthy people think differently than everyone else. Suckers, people who are down and out about their situation, they just accept their situation. They center, their money thoughts around fear, and their behavior around money centers really on foolishness. They're not being wise and strategic with their money. Now, the wealthy, on the other hand, they have the same realities, but they do choose a different mindset. They choose to see their money and their future differently. They try to gather as much knowledge as possible, and they get excited about what they can do with their means, with their money. They choose to see a bright future regardless of their situation. They choose to see themselves, wealthy, and they choose to look for opportunity in everything. So let's spend a few minutes learning about the power of compound interest. I love this concept. Albert Einstein said that this was the most powerful force that he had ever discovered. So compounding interest is the interest that your interest can earn in addition to the interest that your savings can earn. So basically, interest on interest, as Zoe puts it here, compound interest leverages the power of exponential growth. So I love this story. I love reading about, the first American, self-made billionaires and millionaires, even though they built it off the backs of a lot of people. We acknowledge that. But I still find these stories very interesting. And this story here is from a book about John D Rockefeller, who was one of America's first self-made, billionaires. And the short version of the story is that Rockefeller had lent $50 to a farmer at a 7% interest rate when he was just a little boy. He earned $3.50 in interest in addition to getting back, his $50 that he had lent to that farmer. During the same time, as a little boy, he also went to work. He earned $1.12 digging potatoes for 3 days. So he looked at like the $1.12 in one hand, and then he looked at the $1.12 that took him back-breaking work. Then he looked at the $3.50 where he didn't have to do anything for it. It was his money, earning money for him. That's when he decided, okay, I need to focus on how do I make my money work for me where I don't have to really do anything for it. And that's a lesson that I really like. It's really hard to forget that lesson because you decide you work for your money, which is limited by your time, or your money works, for you around the clock, without limit, without you, 24/7, and never calls off and never gets sick. So you really choose. And Rockefeller went on to say that he had ways of making money when most people had no idea about, these are some of his secrets, it's just compounding interest. So there is a difference because there's the simple interest and then there's compound interest, and there is a difference and it is pretty substantial. Basically simple interest, it stays the same. You earn the same amount of money every single year or month, however it's, accumulated. Versus compound interest, this one continues to grow. It compounds, it keeps growing on top of itself. So when you really look at the difference, we'll just look at two examples of $1,500, both growing at 9% over a 50-year time frame. So with simple interest, remember we start off with $1,500 and we just let it stay in account, earning that 9% over that whole time frame. So at the end, it grows to $8,250. So if you think about 50 years and all it did was grow to $8,250, that's not a lot of money, and it was in an account earning 9% simple interest. A lot of people would think, oh, 9%, this is great. No, it's not great because it's simple interest. It's the same amount of money that you earn every single year. Now with compound interest, on the other hand, the $1,500 grows to over $132,000 in the same 50-year time frame. That's 16 times more money. And you can see, I think the one thing to really point out here is that on the right side of the graph, the back end of the graph, at the later years in life, that's when the money just actually grew. It just took off. That's when the curve gets super steep, which is in the later years, because that's when the power of compounding interest really takes off. And it's just important to know that, I get a lot of investors that are like, oh, I don't see my money growing. It's still this much. I want to see it triple double. No, it takes time, and you won't see that compounding effect until the back end of, the time frame that you set aside. So Albert Einstein also said compound interest is the greatest mathematical discovery of all time. Obviously he thought a lot about, many things in his lifetime. We know that, Albert Einstein is smart scientist and mastermind. And he compared compound interest right up there with, E equals MC squared. So he said it was super important, formula, calculation to know. So here's an example again of comparing the two. Well, actually, these are two different. This is another example. So this is an example when you look at monthly with compound interest and how that can really affect your savings. So as you can see, this example, we have somebody opening an investment account with $500. Each month they add in another $500. This goes on for over a 45-year time frame, and they're earning 9% compounding interest. As you can see, the interest ends up being way more than the amount that they put in. In this example, the interest is 13 times what you actually put in. So again, as you can see from Rockefeller, his secret was that earning interest is really how you create wealth that your savings alone can't accomplish. Because again, I see a lot of people who put thousands and thousands of dollars in the bank and it's doing nothing. It's just sitting there. It's growing at like pennies, literally pennies, versus if they were to reinvest that money somewhere, take advantage of compounding interest, their money would grow a whole lot more. So now that you're really just starting to get the hang of the interest, you could really just have a really good guess of whether a $50,000 one-time, contribution or a $500 each month over 45 years. If you had both, if you put away that amount of money, again, one time $50,000, you let it go, and then one account you put in $500 every month. And both accounts are earning 9%, compounding interest. Which do you think would actually earn more? So let me show you on the next page. So actually the $500 per month ends up outpacing the one-time $50,000 deposit. So even though, TJ, he put in, saved more over time, his account passed Sarah's account in this example only after 17 years. And then from there, he made more money than her. So the rule of the thumb is that, slow and steady, it wins the race. You have to get out your mindset that, oh, my money can double and triple overnight. That's not how this game works. Never has, and if any investment you do that, it's probably very, very risky and you don't want to lose it. So you really want to not, a lot of people try to time the market, like, oh, let me buy this time or let me sell this time. It's time in the market, not timing the market, time in the market, consistently saving and investing your money. So as you can see, the return that you get can make a big, big difference on how that story turns out for you. And so let's just look at what I mean here. So for example, if you're saving $178 every month from ages 25 to 67, and at different rates of returns, they create different results. Most people don't understand this. Like the interest rate that you earn matters. It really does matter where you put your money. So here's a chart of this example. So for example, the amount per month and the time are the same. The only difference is the interest rate, the rate of return that you earn. So if you're saving an account that only gives you 1% versus 9%, that's almost $1 million difference. That makes a difference. I can't tell people this over and over. Where you keep your money matters. It matters. Especially if you're really trying to grow money, if you're really trying to accumulate wealth. Having your money sit at the bank earning little to no interest will not serve you. It will not serve you. And I just see it happen all the time. And most times because people just don't know where to put their money. They're scared of the stock market. We need to get over that. We really do. Because if you're really focusing on safety alone and ignoring the rate of return, that can be very, very costly. Wealthy people want their money to work for them as hard as they work for it. The suckers are like, I'll put my money away. I won't earn anything. I'll just keep it as safe as possible. I want to help you make better decisions. So I want to spend the last couple minutes talking about, I want to give you a final piece of this foundation, the wealth equivalency. And the reality is that for many employees who earn, just a modest salary, or for those who are closer to retirement, the size of your savings might not actually be enough, or at least to give you that lifestyle that you desire in return, in retirement. So if you don't earn a big enough paycheck, or if you don't have enough money, or have enough time left over to take advantage of that compounding interest, then where are you going to get your money from? Or is there another way to create the wealth that you need for the lifestyle that you want? And I believe there actually is a way. And I believe that's in the power of actually owning a business, otherwise known as entrepreneurship. Now, I know this isn't for everybody, but I will be remiss to not talk about it. We live in the gig economy right now. Everybody's trying to do some type of side hustle. Everybody's doing some type of extra part-time work or something. I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe in just, creating a business to give you that extra income that you'll need, that you probably just don't have right now. And this concept is called the wealth equivalency. So let's just compare two strategies, and then you could just, you'll decide which is more of a reality. So here's how the wealth equivalency works. First of all, you have to ask yourself, how much would you have to place into an account that earns a 5% annual return versus creating a business that will create you, income as well. So let's just compare these two. So let's say you have a business and you earn $1,000 per month in your business. That's equal to having $240,000 in a 5% interest earning account. Now, of course, the question I'll get is, okay, Shantae, where do I get that 5%? Well, again, not the average bank account whose average is 0.09%. They don't even give you 1% growth. It's crazy. If you had your money in a bank account, you would actually need $1.3 million to pay you the same amount of income that your business would be able to generate for you. So is it easier to accumulate $1.3 million, or is it easier to create a business that'll give you an extra $1,000 per month? So it's an equivalency. But what if you built your business income up to $5,000 a month? So then now you would need $1.2 million in an interest-bearing account to equal the monthly income from your business. So you see, the more money that you increase and earn from a business potentially, that's, it really does change the math. And that's why you can't become a successful business owner long-term without having basic knowledge of money. Just like some of these things a lot of people don't think about. So let's just say you have a business and it continues to grow, and it becomes more obvious that, most people could never save anywhere enough to keep up with the earning power of building a business versus the money that you would actually need to save somewhere. And this is the principle that I want you to focus on, as you consider any business opportunity. I would love for folks to join me in business and become a How Money Works educator as well. If you're interested in that opportunity, let me know. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you about that. But, in addition to teaching people how money works, we also teach people how entrepreneurship works, so they can really take this information and apply this knowledge to building a business that can earn them far more money than the amount of savings that they can earn on their own from a job. So again, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your money and your income. And so here's the outcome of our wealth equivalency. Suckers think, having savings is the only way to create the retirement income they want. The wealthy people, on the other hand, they know that by owning a business, that almost anyone has a chance to create an income that's equivalent to having millions saved for retirement. And not enough people think like the wealthy, which brings us to our mission, here at the How Money Works company. Our mission is to teach 20 million families how money works within the next 10 years. Our goal is to stamp out financial illiteracy in every community. For myself, I'm looking to do this for, BIPOC communities, Black and Indigenous people of color, because that's me. That's who I am, who I represent. What about representing your community and your community learning about money? And that's why we're always looking for folks who want to become How Money Works educators, because we need more people out there teaching these classes. And that's where you can come in, or somebody that might come in. And how we actually help people, is just we take them through a process. I talked about the 7 money milestones process earlier. We typically share this worksheet. It's in the book. I also have a PDF version of it. We call it the How Money Works Money Discovery, where, folks really just get to take a moment and inventory, like, what their finances look like. What insurance do they have? What investment accounts do they have? What savings do they have? What are their actual goals? I really like this worksheet because it just gives people some different ways to think about their finances that they probably haven't figured out. So, if you're interested in completing a How Money Works Discovery, you can reach out to me. I'll be happy to do, again, a consultation with you, and just to see what areas of opportunities, I could point out some gaps that you might have that you might not know. Because again, I consider myself an expert in this industry. I've been doing this a really long time. I know what I'm talking about. And I can't tell you how many times, I'll be happy to be a resource to you. I mean, the question at the end of the day, though, is just like, how do you want to put these concepts to work for your money, for your financials, for your personal numbers? And then also, how much faster would you be able to accomplish those goals if you actually work through those 7 money milestones and you had an expert like myself guiding you? So again, if you want to have that consultation with me, connect with me. I'll send you a Zoom link to schedule into my calendar. So if you like what you learned tonight and you want to learn more, you can follow How Money Works on Instagram at How Money Works Official for more practical financial tips and then helpful resources. You can also follow my own Instagram page. It's at Shantae W. Moore, CHANTAYWMOORE. I'm super excited to share a lot of just random financial tips and resources to continue on with April being Financial Literacy Awareness Month. Actually, let me stop sharing. So super excited to share some of these upcoming presentations. So tomorrow night at the same time, 7 p.m. Central, I will be doing the second Elements workshop called How Money Works Concepts on April 12th at 6 p.m. I'll be doing the third Elements workshop called How Money Works Protection on April 18th. So I'm super excited about this. So I've created a presentation that I've been teaching for the past couple of years about how can we save and invest our money for our minors, for our youth. So that'll be on April 18th at 7 p.m. And then April 26th at 6, I will resume teaching the Elements workshops. I'll talk about short-term goals. And then on April 28th, I'll conclude, Financial Literacy Awareness Month at 7 p.m. by teaching the How Money Works long-term class, which talks about long-term retirement investing goals. So stay in touch with me. I'm super excited to, again, continue teaching this information. So everyone have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow.